Okay, welcome everybody. I am Ken Masson. I am the president of the Rotary Club of World Disability Advocacy. You're getting a little feedback, Sayum. Sayum is, we're here with Sayum today from Kenya. I'm pleasure to be here with her today. She's a Rotarian there. I'm going to let her introduce herself. But we're the Rotary Club of World. My club is the World Rotary Club of World Disability Advocacy. And we are a club that's focused on advocating for the human rights of people with disabilities. So, Sayum, you are getting a little bit of feedback, but I think it's from me. So if I just keep my mouth shut, I think we'll be fine. Welcome. Welcome, and why don't you introduce yourself to us?
Thank you, Ken. Thank you for hosting me today. It's 5 p.m. in Kenya. My name is Saum. My club is the Rotary Club of Hurlingham in Nairobi, Kenya, East Africa. Our district is 9212. I've been a Rotarian for the last 12 years. I've served across most of the roles within the club. I've been a club president, proceeded to serve at the district level as an assistant governor, as a country chair for all the clubs within the country. I currently serve as a vice chair in the community service, where I run a couple of programs. But what keeps me in Rotary largely is I volunteered in a district role that deals mainly with persons with disability. We call it Sunshine Rally. I've found it very fulfilling and quite life-changing for me, and that's what largely kept me into staying into Rotary, because I find that one of those unique programs that we have within Rotary. Thank you.
Great, thank you. It's a pleasure to have you here today. I am actually from the United States, but I'm in Colombia, so to do this kind of conversation always is so much fun. So you're going to do things a little differently today. Most of the time I'll kind of interview the person, but you have a beautiful slide presentation, which we're going to show. I am going to be the guy clicking the slides, so hopefully everything goes fine. But I'm going to turn that on now, and it's all yours at this point. I assume you want me to go to the next slide, which I will. There we go.
Yeah, so thank you once again. Like I said, I've enjoyed the programs under our district called Sunshine Rally, largely focusing on persons with disability. The idea behind it is to be the voice for persons with disability, to create awareness, to do advocacy, and also support persons with disability in the various things they are doing in their lives. And for me, what really came into perspective is that the issue of assistive technologies and devices. But before we go deep down into that, I think it's very important that the audience understands what we mean by a disability. Largely, if you look at Wikipedia, it says disability is the experience of any condition that makes it difficult for somebody to do some activities or have equitable access within their society. The disabilities could be congenital, developmental, intellectual, mental, physical, or even a combination of those. And some of these disabilities are seen from birth. Others happens during one's lifetime. Maybe they've fallen sick, they've had an accident. However, because of all these combinations, there has to be a way that disabilities are classified. So if you move on to the next slide, we'll be talking about the types of disabilities. If you go online or you do some research work, you'll find that there are various ways of classifying disabilities. I'm guided by the way we've classified disabilities in my country, Kenya, where we have the Disability Medical Assessment and Categorization Guideline, which was one of the first of its kind. It provides largely a standard and unified process for conducting assessments and to categorize people with disabilities. And from that guideline, it categorizes them into 6 main categories in line with the International Classification of Functional Disability and Health. So these 6 main disabilities we are looking at are physical disabilities. You have some that are neurological, from cerebral palsy, Klansky palsy, monoplegia, multiple sclerosis. We have musculoskeletal disabilities, like somebody has been amputated, things like arthritis, some deformities. And then we have physical conditions like dwarfism, gigantism, and permanent colostomy. So that's categorized as one of them, a physical disability. Then obviously we have visual impairments. Someone would have normal vision, but probably they are short or long-sighted. Then we have a mild visual impairment, moderate, and then we have the severe ones and blindness. Those are disabilities that are actually easily to spot. Then we have the other category of hearing impairment, speech and language disability. Like, some of these may be congenital or acquired. Probably somebody underwent through something during their lives. Somebody who got a stroke, sometimes they end up having a speech disability. So we have speech impairments such as stammering, voice difficulties, speech sound disorder, and motor speech disorder. Then we have the language impairments, which may be developmental language delay. You'll find that some people, as they were growing up, they really took a while before they spoke because of course, other causes, but still it's categorized as a disability. Then we have some disorders either in children or adults. Then we have what we call the mental health disabilities, where one's cognition is disturbed. So someone's emotional regulation or behavior is a bit not okay. We have the neurodevelopmental disorders such as autism, which spectrum disorder, which has it's been on the limelight. A lot of people are very much aware of it. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, and some specific learning disorders like dyslexia and the like. Then we have the chronic progressive disorders. We're looking at health conditions that worsen over time. And those are further divided into subcategories. I'll not really get into that. But we have things like neurological, we have the cancers, we have gastrointestinal disorders, we have dermatological disorders, vascular disorders, being frail, HIV, and HIV/AIDS associated illnesses. All those fall under chronic progressive disorders. Then lastly, we have the maxillofacial disabilities. Those are conditions related to oral, dental, and maxillofacial structures, leading to a permanent loss of function, affecting one's daily living. You'll find even there are people who have struggled with eating, struggled with talking, and things like that. Beyond the classification, we know that we have various models of disability. Like in I'll call it the disability world, we talk about models of disability because this is a tool that is used to define an impairment, which is ultimately supposed to help us provide basis upon which society or government can devise strategies for meeting the strategies for meeting the needs for persons with disability. So there are various ways that they've been modeled. It can be disability is seen as a disease. So it's a medical program that is in somebody's body. And how does the society or government deal with it? Disability can also be seen as, say, a charity or a victimhood, where persons with disabilities have been victims of circumstances, and then now they become sort of, not a good term to use, a charity case. But those are some of the models we are using. Then we have disability as an act of God. Of course, we live in a spiritual world. Different cultures. In Africa, largely, we have our own way of defining disabilities. We combine the traditional culture and modern spirituality, where you say it's regarded as a punishment from God for somebody who probably they claim committed a sin and they are being punished, which of course is not the case, and that is why Rotary clubs like Ken's club are there to demystify some of those myths. Then we have disability as an identity. So for this model, it looks at disability as a positive identity. It's a marker of people who are classified to be in a minority group, they say, like gender and race. And this also helps in guiding government or society on what to do about it. Disability being classified as a human rights issue, it's a social model that helps people to understand the underlying social factors that shape our understanding of disability. The human rights model towards it, we all talk about SDGs. So that comes in, is very critical when you're looking at the human rights angle. And now this helps in creating the theories and frameworks on what government and society needs to do. Then there's disability as embodied as an experience. So according to this society model, it's important that people accept the fact that all humans will experience some level of limitations in their everyday lives. But then now we need to have a clear cut whereby is this almost normal experience or is this a disability? So hence classified as a disability, and what do we do about it as government and society? So that's largely the models of disabilities that are out here, which are used as guidelines in coming up with what we should do as society and as government. However, with that, there's a lot of, it's brought in a lot of issues concerning the attitude of inclusion for persons with disabilities. So with that, we are looking at individual traits of specific disabilities. What are the stigmas that are out there, whether cultural, religious, or just environmental, or the society at large? What are the perceived quality of service that are being offered or are expected to offer? What are the religious beliefs that are out there? What are the rights that need to be looked into and stuff like that? You see now, when we have all these models of society, then it creates this attitude where it is which pushes for persons with disability need to be included, and how are we going to go about it? So there needs to be a guideline. That's just a rough introduction. I want to bring to your attention about some of the statistics we have about persons with disability. The World Report on Disability says 15% of the global population, imagine 15% of the global population live with a disability. And this roughly counts for 1 billion people in the world. You can imagine that. And out of this 1 billion, 1 in every 20 children globally have a disability. And those are the statistics we are dealing with here. WHO says 1 in 10 people in the world are disabled, and 1 out of 5 of the world's poor people are disabled. 4 out of 5 children with disabilities in Africa do not attend school. That saddens me. 1 in 2 disabled people can't afford health care compared to the 1 in 3 non-disabled people. And then more than 4 out of 5 disabled people in low and middle income countries don't have access to assistive devices and technology that they need. That's almost all of them. If you're saying 4 out of 5 people don't have access, and less than 2 in 4 disabled people are employed compared to 3 in 4 non-disabled people. And there are so many other statistics, but for me, these are just critical statistics that we need to have in mind. Having just taken you through that brief introduction, I'll now go deep down into matters assistive devices and technology for persons with disability. So for assistive devices are those, what do I call it, items, gadgets, or whatever it is, whose primary purpose is to maintain or improve a person's functioning and independence, to enable them participate and just get on with their well-being in a more dignified manner. The assistive devices are normally external. They are designed, made, or adopted to assist somebody perform a specific task, such as walking, talking, hearing, learning, amongst many others. Many people with disabilities depend on assistive devices to enable them carry out their day-to-day activities and participate actively and productively in community life. And you can imagine if many people with disabilities depend on this, and we are saying 4 out of every 5 people with disabilities do not have access to assistive devices. You can imagine how much people with disabilities are suffering, because you need these devices to just carry on your day-to-day life activities. Assistive technology items, they're designed to help somebody fully participate in their communities. And normally they are bought, some are modified, others are customized, but they are specifically designed to help somebody complete tasks which they may not be able to do if they don't have those devices or technology. Access to high quality technology is very key to personal and professional development of persons with disability, because it helps remove that physical or mental barrier that keeps them from achieving their full potential. But when we listen to all this, what are we doing about it as a society? What are we doing about it as government? Some of the examples of assistive technology or assistive devices we have things like, we have the non-technological ones, something as basic as a pencil grip, post-it notes, tactile letters, magnifying bars, weighted pencils. Then we have those low technology ones like buzzers. Just if you want to call somebody, probably you have a speaking or hearing, speaking impairment. We have the portable word processors. We have talking calculators, talking watches, electronic organizers, even some special lighting. Then, of course, we have those high technology assistive technologies like e-readers, touchscreen devices, computerized testing, speech recognition software, word processors, text-to-speech, progress monitoring software, amongst many others. Then we have a way of categorizing these devices. I was just giving some examples, but they can be categorized in a few categories. I'll name some. We have what we call the cognitive devices. These are used to help people with brain injuries, dementia, mental illness, and intellectual disabilities, like a talking wristwatch, maybe an automated pill dispensers, for if you have seen one, a beeping device, a mobility monitor, a medical ID bracelets. Those are very critical things that I know, if unless you have first-hand experience, you wouldn't really understand the importance of these cognitive devices. Then we have communication devices, which help them in speech. It may be augmentative, where it supports the speech, or alternative, where it compensates speech. For example, a communication board, a request card, an electronic speech output device, eye gaze and head trackers. The other day I was just reading, there's a breakthrough in science where they have figured out how AI can be used to read somebody's mind. So those are the kind of things that really enhance the life of a person with disability. Then we have mobility devices, which is the most common one around us. I know even when you go around and we are saying, oh, we are looking for support for assistive devices or technologies, most of the time, most people will only talk about mobility devices, like wheelchairs, scooters, the walking frames, prosthetic limbs. braces and crutches, canes, orthopedic shoes. But remember, we have much more than that. Then we have hearing devices that helps one in hearing. For example, the cochlear implants, hearing aids and loops. We have headphones, a visual alert system, and even telecom devices for the deaf. Then we have vision devices like large print books for those of people who have mild vision impairment. We have the braille books, we have audio books, we have screen readers, some voice recognition apps, smart devices with voice to text and operated commands. I find that area of vision devices most of it is largely technological, low and high tech. I find it very captivating. I have a lot of interest. They are just trying to figure out assistive technologies for people with visual impairments. Then we have what you call positioning devices, which helps in maintaining posture, like a standing frame, a cushion, splint, corner chairs, small things that we really take for granted. However, these things make a very big difference to persons with disability. Then last but not least, we have those daily living devices, which helps one complete activities of their daily living, like even something as simple as dressing. When you're waking up to wear your clothes, you should be very grateful that you're able to dress yourself. But we have stuff that they can use like a dressing sticks, button hooks, socks aids. We have devices to support them in bathing, things like shower chairs, commode, a toilet riser, those tub mats to avoid slippery. Even hygiene devices like mattress protectors, catheters, bed mobility devices like those transfer boards for lifting somebody from one bed to another or one space to another. We have mechanical lift when you have an electrical bed. We have bed bars, which unless you have an issue is when you appreciate that. We have hip pads. Then we have those cooking and eating devices like adaptive utensils. Nowadays, we have a lot of smart utensils. We have non-skid bowls. We have suction thermal cups. We have plate guards. We have those long straws. We have smart appliances, which allow somebody to just take care of their eating needs or make it much easier, especially if somebody is living alone. We have devices that help one in organization, like self-opening scissors, bedside organizers, reach extenders. Then we have reading and learning ones like automatic page turners, book holders, adopted pen grips. Then we have the ones that help you with your medication. I'd mentioned medicine organizers, dosage timers, pill splitters, and of course for safety, it's very important that safety is always considered. We have things like pendants, bracelets or belts where it's indicated, or we have those bracelets where you can write their disability and who to contact in case of anything. So all these things play a very critical life in the lives of persons with disability. But I know most of the time, unless you're directly affected, you may not really understand. You may probably not even appreciate the importance of some of these small devices, or even the big ones, the low-tech, the non-technological ones, and the high-tech. But the beauty about it is that it's very important that they are factored in their lives. As we walk around us, even when we're interacting with persons with disability, for Rotarians, if you're looking into supporting them, I highly insist and recommend before we run to purchase or look for donations because you think they just require wheelchairs. Let us take time and really understand what are their challenges, what are their requirements, which ones are the most critical, just to help them first have a comfortable day-to-day life activity. Then now those ones where we'll support them probably in learning and maybe doing other things. Of course, for somebody to have assistive technology, it's beneficial to all of us because it helps them communicate. It helps them be able to interact with the people around them. It gives them a sense of dignity because you're able to do some of the things on your own. It sort of allows them to access some of the basic rights, human rights that they are required to have, something as basic as education, shelter, food, clothing, without really struggling. It allows them just to experience life like the rest. It may not look like it's a big issue, but then it is a very, very big deal. But unfortunately, in our society, we have so many barriers associated with obtaining all these assistive devices for persons with disabilities. And some of these barriers include a lack of awareness. Like I say, a lot of times when we go out there and we are looking for devices, most of the time someone will say, oh, wheelchair, we'll just, let's see, we can help you purchase one, without really understanding what are the actual needs of the people we are dealing with, especially when you're dealing with persons who have multiple disabilities. The other barrier is inaccessible physical environment. A lot of buildings and etc. are not disability friendly, unfortunately. I know many governments, including ours, are trying to have policies that insist on having places that are disability friendly, including washrooms and accessibility, but we still have a very long way to go, especially in third world countries. We don't have government legislation and policies to enforce this. It's usually an afterthought for a lot of governments, and it takes a very long time. Even when you're dealing with policymakers who are very much aware of the importance of putting in legislation to support persons with disability access assistive devices. Then we equally don't have programs and services to make even obtaining assistive devices easy, affordable, largely because it's usually down there in the list of priorities for the people who are meant to prioritize it. There's no funding. So because of that, we don't even have most of those products in the market. Even in our own market, I've come across very, very amazing assistive devices online, or heard about them, read about them, but they're not even in the market. A lot of times you'll see people struggling to find where can I get this? How do I have access to it? If someone has to import, that means the prices double. Our taxes are up the roof. We just can't afford it. And then the other thing we lack is the lack of trained personnel. From even at the level of where they are, we have teachers who, we have those special classes, but you have very few teachers who are trained for that kind of class. Then now when it comes even to now issues of assistive technologies and devices, we don't have much when it comes to the personnel who are supposed to understand some of those technologies and even put it out there to the consumers. A few shops that I've seen are selling some of those things, apart from the ones for people with visual impairment and maybe hearing impairment. These high-tech ones, there isn't much going on. Even in Kenya, yet we are one of the few advanced countries in Africa. The first ever Global Disability Summit that was held in London says 970 million people need glasses and low vision aids, but I don't think even half of those people have access to these things. 75 million people need wheelchairs. I think between Ken and I and the listeners, we know how many requests we get daily for wheelchairs. And unfortunately, most of the wheelchairs we donate are not even fitted for the person receiving them. A lot of times we make a mistake of giving out just a generic wheelchair, which ends up damaging the persons more than even helping them. Those are things we have to think through. 150 million people need mobility aids. 35 million people need prosthesis. Maybe they have an arm that was amputated, a leg, whatever it is. 94 people need hearing aids. 94 million people need hearing aids. Hearing aids are very expensive, very, very expensive, and very few people can afford it. 150 million need cognitive aids. But the sad bit is only 1 in 10 have access to the products they need. Why? Again, I'll say these products are very costly. We don't have skilled people to do it. And of course, the policy and standards we have in most government are not in place to make this easy. And it is said by 2030, more than 2 billion people will need assistive technology. So for us who are in this space, what are we doing to reduce those numbers? Because those numbers are really big. How can we overcome those barriers? For me, what comes first in my head is that we should use our voice as Rotary to push for government regulations to have national assistive technology policy, as well as ensure assistive devices are included in the healthcare plans, so as to minimize that somebody going out of their pocket to procure them. The other thing is to make adaptive equipment and assistive technology more accessible for people with disabilities, regardless of their location or income level. I see a lot of people here in Kenya traveling far and wide to access most of these things because they are not, most of them have to come to the cities. But how about I'm an entrepreneur? Identify and invest in businesses that build, repair, and maintain assistive technology. Not many people do that. I have a friend who runs a technological hub for assistive devices. They are called Senses Hub here in Nairobi. They've come up with amazing technology. I think most of their technology, they've done a lot on people with visual impairments. However, this technology they have created is extremely expensive for our market. And so you'll find some of the things they have even invented in their hub, in their lab, are being taken to the European market. You need to obtain information on referrals, costs, and processes. Most of us run into giving out or procuring these devices without background knowledge. I think it's just the same way before you buy an important gadget in your house, do your background research. Luckily for us, we have access to internet, so that should not be a problem, and make phone calls. However, I think even on our end, we probably need to create resource centers where somebody can get that kind of information and know where to find. For us in Rotary, again, we need to compile potential funding opportunities for people who can't afford these things. And then now we work together with government, the private sector, and see how we can apply for this funding and make these devices available. Of course, partnering with referral organizations in terms of like here in Kenya, Nairobi is the capital city. So we have the Kenya Society for the Blind, and they supply a lot of products for persons with visual impairment. But you'll find even the people up country have to come all the way to Nairobi to get those items, or maybe ask for them to be couriered. How about we find out how these things we can reduce that distance, and also provide transport and home or community-based repair services for the remote areas. I think the idea behind, I've seen mobile education services, mobile libraries, mobile healthcare systems, and we can look into adopting the same. And for me, beyond that barrier, the way I look at it is assistive devices enhance inclusivity because it bridges that gap by assisting the practice of educating children in the same classroom, including children with disabilities, by helping them to learn the material in a way they understand. Because for the longest time, learners with disability used to be put in the same class as the other kids, and they would really struggle and just even give up school. My own sibling had dyslexia all his life. I didn't know that. It's something I've known right now, but he's much older. But we always assumed he was not brilliant. He always came last in class, last in class. But it's because he had dyslexia. But because what I noticed with him is like he liked to fix gadgets a lot. So when he finished his high school education, I asked him, "What do you want to do?" Then he said, "I want to do some basic electrical engineering," and enrolled him for a class. And he got to really enjoy because that's where his interest was. Right now, he's a very successful uh, network engineer in the telecoms industry. But this is a guy who was last in class all his life for 18 years. I remember he would ask me, "Will I ever make it in life?" And I always used to encourage him. But you see, right now, when I've been dealing with persons with disability as a Rotarian, is when I've realized he had dyslexia all his life, and we didn't know it. But you see, when you have assistive technology and things that help even in testing and figure out this person has this disability, it would have helped him much earlier in life. These assistive technology help persons with disability to carry out their daily activities and actively participate and productively in community life, including employment. It improves one's functioning and independence, hence it promotes their well-being, especially psychologically. It allows people with disability to stay connected and interact with others despite their disability. The fact that my friend Zena, she recently got blind, maybe 3-4 years ago. But you see, we're able to interact because she has access to some of those assistive technologies. Her phone has the special software that interprets things for her. She continues with her work as a legal practitioner because she has software on her laptop and things like that. But not many people have access to this. How can we make this accessible to almost everybody with a disability in our communities, so that we say we are being inclusive? Assistive devices empower people with disabilities to live with dignity and give them a freedom and independence, which reduces that cost of disability to individuals, to families, and society. Somebody having a smart technology maybe in the kitchen, so they don't have to rely on Saum to go warm for them their food or do things for them. When you have a disability-friendly toilet, you will be comfortable letting the person who's going to use it to go to the washroom on their own. And you know that one, you maintain their dignity as a human being instead of you going into the washroom and standing with them while they relieve themselves. So it also enhances the quality of life of people with disability, which leads to the generation of new aspirations, new capacity to promote improvements in devices, new innovations in a continuous positive feedback loop of innovation. The interesting thing about persons with disability, they're the ones who came up with lots and lots of innovations that we are currently using, from Albert Einstein and the rest. It's sad that persons with disability have created innovations that are inclusive for all. Yet for us who do not have disabilities, when we are doing our innovations, we are not creating inclusive innovations. We just come up with innovations that do not really think through, can this even be accessible to a person with disability? And so as I finish my presentation, I want to say this. Disability only becomes a tragedy when society fails to provide the things needed to lead one's daily life. And always remember that people with disabilities, they want to be recognized for what they can do, not what they cannot do. So it's imperative that we all look into this issue of making assistive devices and technologies more accessible, more affordable to persons with disabilities in our society. Thank you. You're
Ken,
muted, Ken.
you are muted. Wow. I mean, what a lot of information. And of course, there is a lot of information there to deal with, and particularly only in 40 minutes. And you know, the thing with disabilities, you say 15%, that's probably a deflated number. There is many more, certainly people that are not claiming themselves as having a disability, people like myself who are getting older and are developing disabilities. The number has got to be much higher than that, I'm sure, even though 15% is a huge number of people. And again, the definition of what is a disability. We lost you, saying, gotta come back, but she's still there. So what is a yeah? So what is a disability? You know, it's a wide range of things. I often use the United Nations definition of disability, but the person who has a stroke really has a disability. A person who has cancer really has a disability. Some other, you know, there's many. I could go for many long list of categories. Certainly, illnesses are a disability, and all of those can use assistive devices. You made me think too, as you were going through it, because my original thought was, you know, individuals using assistive devices, but I mean, the school system certainly should use assistive devices. Doctors' offices should certainly have them available. You can go through everything. Caregivers, people in government offices should have them available. There's endless parts of life that should have assisted devices available. And so, in your position, you are kind of bringing the assistive devices together with those where there's needs. Is that what you're doing?
Yes, with the Rotary Sunshine Rally program, we have it here at District 9212, largely in Kenya. We work together with the National Council for Persons with Disability, that is the government arm that focuses on persons with disability, to create accessibility for devices to persons with disability, because they get a lot of requests. We also get a lot of requests. So we try and work together to make them accessible. But we are barely touching a drop in the ocean.
So we need people like you, because it's changing daily. It's changing daily.
Yeah.
New devices are coming on. Upgrades to other devices are coming. I even like the fact that you included post notes in the assisted device. You know, you don't think of that, but it is. It's an assisted device.
It is, yeah, it is.
It's not a technical one, but it is assisted device. So,
yeah.
How does a person who wants to know what's available and know their options, where do they start?
They start with the National Council for Persons with Disability. They have a website. It's a very elaborate website. But beyond that, we have various resources. Even they can get in touch with us as Rotary, and we can support them. We connect them with the right place to purchase or the right person to check with. I've had inquiries where I've had to help somebody import some very high-tech technology. But that is somebody who could afford. They just were not sure where to go, how to go about it. Yeah.
Because I mean, I may not know or have access to information, so that's good. That's good. You can turn to a resource like that. Like you were mentioning,
Yeah.
the talking watches, or the
Mm,
devices for the bathrooms. Um,
yeah. Yeah.
I may
Even a
not be
talking
aware.
calculator. I'm
Yeah,
saying even
there
a
you go.
talking calculator.
Yeah, yeah. There you go.
Mm,
There you go.
mm.
So man, I mean, I'm sure there's tons of people don't even know those things are out there, but it can
Yeah.
make their life better and more independent.
Yeah.
Even with the advancements, even though a good part of the world's still using Braille, there's a lot of advancements on the technical side of reading, um,
Yeah.
readers and things like that are available.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
now the other question is, because you were mentioning it about the fact that one of the barriers is money.
Mm-hmm.
Are there organizations out there that will help fund devices?
There are organizations that do devices, but they've specialized in maybe specific categories. Like there are some that fund for visual impairments, so issues of braille, things like the braille devices and stuff like that. Then we have organizations just dealing with hearing impairments. They are in Kenya, but you can connect. We can connect you. You can connect with them through us, Rotary, because they are quite a list. I can't name them. Somehow we work together. We are even in partnership with an organization called Jaipur. Jaipur give free prosthetic arms and legs as long as you just go for assessment, then I'll apply to get a free prosthetic. And there are many other organizations that we can connect somebody with them and see how they can be assisted.
Even in the prosthetic legs, it's amazing. You can get a basic leg, which oftentimes is okay for people, but they go to high tech legs too. They got very high tech legs that are out there now.
Yeah,
And
the bionic ones.
yeah, they're bionic. We have a member who has one of those. So I mean,
That's an amazing technology.
yeah, it's amazing technology. And of course, in some countries, um, some devices will be paid for by insurance. Other countries, it won't be. So I certainly go to your insurance company and see if they would be willing to help. I would think. But some,
Most countries don't.
yeah, I know in the United States where this gentleman got his bionic legs. Um, I know he had to do some dealing with the insurance companies, but eventually I think they did pay for part of it. But it's once again, insurance is not necessarily your hope for that. And yeah, I think you're right. A Rotary is a good place to start because I know you're very connected, and I have connections. We between the two of us here, we probably could find something for somebody, whatever
Yeah.
their need might be.
Yeah.
And then once you find it, then find a way to find funding for it. That would be the way to do it. Not to say we
Yeah.
can, but we say we could try. Um,
Yeah.
there's a gentleman in Uganda who makes wheelchairs out of bamboo.
I saw that.
Yeah, so I think that's an option for the other wheelchairs. Um,
Mm.
yeah, so I am. How are they going to get in touch with you?
They
Somebody
can
has a
get in touch
question.
with me. Okay. What's the question?
How can they communicate with you? How can they send you a question on on getting you to help, maybe help find them something that they need? What, you have an email or something they could send you to you?
Yeah, they can contact me via my email. Unfortunately, if I go into chat, I think it will throw me out. My
No,
email
you can't.
address, you can share, if you can share my email address, and also my mobile number. You can get me on WhatsApp.
Okay. And
Mm.
and you're willing to share all that. I mean, what I'll do is when I post the recording of this, I'll put all that information in there so people can reach you.
That's fine.
And,
That's fine.
and, and as far as the Rotary Club of World Disability Advocates, another way of getting to reach you, because I'll get in touch with you through our email, which is RotaryWDA@gmail.com. And you and I both are in Rotary, and very active in Rotary. And people may be listening here and interested in getting more information about Rotary, and they can do that through you or through me. Also,
Yeah.
we always looking for new members and
Yes.
people that want to join on to this cause and help out in different ways. So much appreciate you going through all this. It's a big topic. I'm sure there are all-day events go on about these things. There are,
Yeah.
and I'm sure there's lots of information on the internet too. But once again, you can't always trust everything you read on the internet. But once again, I think the way to get the proper information is to write to you or to me, and we'll make sure
Yeah.
what they're getting is
Yeah.
absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Any final words for those who may be sitting there and listen to this and thinking, "Oh my God, I could use something"?
No, I just want to remind the persons with disabilities that are listening or watching that we are here, we hear you, and we would love to support you. Kindly do not hesitate to reach out to us. And for the rest of you who are thinking through it, please join us, join the Rotary Fraternity or any other organization, and let us make persons with disability enjoy their quality of life, because it's important that we make it as equitable as possible, we be as inclusive as possible in whatever it is we are doing. Thank you.
Great, very good. Okay, and I appreciate very much this session. I learned a lot today, and I'm sure other people did too. Okay,
Yeah.
we hope you all have a good rest of your day, and get in touch with us if you need to.
Thank you very